Yeah, welcome. I am Kirthi Krylingual Sridharan, joined by
Corine Times New Roman Gerritsen.
And there I am Angus Dr. Random Mole. And over here we have a very, very special guest. I'm so happy that you're joining us today.
Sybille Lammes.
And you are. You have to have a nickname. You have to have a nickname. And you're
Professor at Play.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Professor at Play. Wonderful. Let's get on with it, right? We
Absolutely.
have so much to discuss.
All right. What's new with you?
I want to talk about an epic war that I've been waging.
Oh.
With mice. I am talking about the actual furry creatures that are infesting our house.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we've had mice before, but they've mounted.
These are new mice.
These are some new mice.
V2.0.
Yeah, for sure.
Back with a vengeance.
Mice with a vengeance. They're not necessarily everywhere, but they are everywhere enough to freak me out the whole time. Okay, we're gonna go way back. I was bitten by a mice in a kiddie farm because I was like, oh, hello, little mice. It was this white little, probably like escaped from a lab or something like that, and it was just in there. And it just bit me, and it hurt so much, and I was so surprised.
And now every full moon.
Yeah, I am the were-mice. Yeah, exactly. But now we've got traps that work.
And do they kill?
No. They're animal-friendly traps. Like half of the internet is now laughing at me. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It is an epic war, and I'm not winning. But at least there's some battles that have been won.
So what's new with me? I am absolutely hooked on a new game. It's called Enshrouded.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. This is amazing, and I want to fill my whole day with this. But it has this mechanic that it has a fog. And it's a deadly fog. You can only stay in there for 5 minutes. So the moment you step in there, you see a timer at the top of your screen. And this is so stressful to me. But now we're playing on the same servers and the same world.
If you're invited as well.
Yeah, if you want to join our kingdom.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, when you put it like that, absolutely. I now am the proud owner of an Egwin. Egwin is a little plastic contraption that looks like 6 bellyless penguins, and they're all connected, and so you can hold them all up, and you can put eggs into the contraption, and so you can boil 6 eggs at once. What's new with you, Sybille?
Yeah, nothing. No, seriously, I have been, because I was, one thing, you know how it goes. I stood someone up yesterday. I didn't arrive at an appointment I had.
That's not new? Question mark?
Well, I'm quite loyal.
Yes,
then today I was stood up myself. And then I thought nothing is new. You see, it goes in circles. Maybe what's new is that it's still Christmas in my house.
The question in question is, when was the last time you were bored playing a game? I think the last time I was bored in a game was the last time I opened up The Sims 4, because I opened it up with the intention of adding a beautiful extension to the house I had built. I was in build mode, having the time of my life, making this little art studio extension for my artist character. And then I was like, okay, perfect, it's done. It's all good. And then I clicked out of build mode. And I just sort of sat there.
Oh, and it was done.
And it was done, and the task was done, and now my sim was moving around. And I was like, well, I don't care about you. I care about my wood paneling and my nice couch that I found and the overlap of rugs that I used tool mod for.
I've been bored this week quite a bit. Last time I was bored because we started to get engaged with Pokemon Go again, which I sort of laid to rest because we were in Japan, Angus and I, and Aris.
Just yesterday.
And someone wanted to have postcards from Japan, right?
Yes. Yeah,
so Angus and I started to play Pokemon Go again. At one point we said, oh, it's quite good fun actually, but it isn't. You know how you feel loyal to other players sometimes? So now I feel sort of obliged to keep sending those, because they keep sending me postcards as well, and I feel obliged. And then also yesterday evening, I do a sort of Scrabble, you know, on my iPad before I go to bed, and literally I was playing that and I fell asleep and my iPad fell on my head. I hurt my lip. So that was a sort of very visceral sort of result of getting totally not interested anymore to the point of falling asleep.
Yeah. No, when I felt really, really bored recently, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I felt I'd seen it all before. I just looked at the enormity of the map and just also thinking back of all the times that I've been doing this in Assassin's Creed games as well and other games. I was like, I should have so much fun with this game, right? This is so up my alley, but then it just was so boring. The idea of having to do this over and over and over again as an experience that was just as an experience.
I think the last time was when I was revisiting Valheim. There's this one thing, and I have this in a lot of games. I don't like fishing in games. I don't really want to do it, but I do want to get, the fish so I can get things out of that. I think it's very boring, and then you have to keep doing it because you only get a very little bit of fish every time, so then you just have to do it again and again. I don't want to do it again, but I want the results of it.
Could we maybe get into today's literature? Because one of my favorite parts of it, which was interpassivity.
Oh yeah.
And its discontents, but something to that effect. And the joy of delegated play in idle games. And something that really stood out to me was this notion of not just rewarding the player for interacting, but rewarding the player for staying away.
I think it's interesting how this interactivity term used to be quite big at the beginning of digital media studies, game studies, and it's not used that much anymore, right? And with that, people all started to use that Zizek thing of interpassivity.
Yeah.
But it's still sort of assuming that there's a space in between or something. If you take that further, what she says, and she says the actor of play becomes the machine, so to speak, then things can play as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the sort of radical consequence if you think it further. One of my favorite essays of Michel Serres, in which he talks about the ball and the ball which lies on the field, and is it the person having the agency by picking it up, or does that ball actually make the game? I read it from the who decides what the rules are. Is that the prop, the ball, or is that the person who picks it up and starts to throw it, kick it? With the big sort of discussions about AI, that really sort of course she mentions that, but it gets even more complicated, right?
Yeah, these large language models are just interpassive actors.
Yeah,
right?
and I mean I think you could really easily conceptualize an interaction with ChatGPT as an idle game.
And within games, there's also, of course, these definitions of games, where I talk about in my piece as well, in which it is often seen also in game design that the 2 points you don't want to have too much in a game. That's when you get the player over anxious, or over understimulated, bored, and that's quite an assumption to make.
Yeah. Also, when we speak about things like immersion, right? This notion of getting a peek behind the curtain at what someone is trying to get you to feel can, for me at least, spur that feeling of like, well, now I won't.
I do think that there's something, though, that video games are very good at, that we almost seem to forget when we talk about idle play, idle games, is that they, of course, take care of a huge load of what most people would consider the boring bits. Computers are doing a lot more than keeping track of your whatever, your inventory space, or they're doing a whole lot just to paint that world into your mind, quite literally. There's just a lot of what most people would consider to be very boring calculations, very complex as well, but probably if you just ask them, go and sit and do this and that is something that we almost sort of forget, that there is a lot of what most people would qualify as very boring stuff. One of the lovely things about this game is that it has very nice messages for the player. Tip my hand a little bit. I think this is a very nice game in many ways, but also it is very clearly an idle game. And here's our main actor, interactor, a big rock. It looks mysterious. Click the rock. Shards are the main resource of the game and are used for great things. Norps, which are these thingamajiggies over here, love them. Get some more. Are you bored yet?
I mean, the thing is, I can tell I would hate playing this, but it is so peaceful to watch.
Very, Hey, and what about the forest?
The forest, it will go.
Yeah, we need industry, right?
we do need, these Norbs need industry. So basically we need more and more Norbs to do more and more things, and the more and more thing is in particular just straight up hitting that rock. That is what this game is about.
Do you have any lunch breaks?
These don't.
Yeah, what's the union like?
Yeah.
Here, so later on, there is actually.
Oi, that went high.
There are in fact
Spectacular.
some breaks as part of that. You have to be a bit patient with this game. So much is clear.
Sounds a bit like old ringtones as well.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I can either save up for some of these other more exciting things, but I think the archery range is pretty exciting as well. Not all Norbs are eager to hit the rock with their heads. I mean, it's a good point, huh? Those Norbs put their heads together and came up with a neat new concept, the bow and arrow. Rocket-propelled Norbs or archery Norbs? Which one would you prefer first?
Go with the rocket Norbs.
There you go. You can always
Maximum
count on times
destruction.
to just say, go for the rocket Norbs.
I find myself developing a deep-seated affection for all the Norbs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Pew!
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Have a look. Before the imminent collapse of cultural studies, we will have hot cocoa, where you can get mountaineers.
Really?
Yeah.
But where are the mountains?
Well, we're
Oh,
making
is that a mountain?
Yeah. Here.
It's a hill.
They will
Well, it's
become.
Nijmegen, so...
And so what this mountaineer is doing, it's just helping to scoot up the mountain a little bit further.
Jumping into something.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't name it as such.
What is that?
Look at that!
I just wanted to get us away from the boredom. So now I've got this rock analysis lab, and it just analyzes the rock and it finds weak spots when this meter sort of completely fills up. And then you just, because you spout some extra stuff, here it starts to look mountainous, right? It starts
Yeah.
to look,
But it's a bit like skiing resorts, right?
and it is a very peaceful, peace-inducing kind of game.
Makes me a bit sleepy now.
Well, there you go.
But it's also the end of the week, I suppose.
Yeah, there you go. These archers are
Oh.
shooting.
Oh, from all the way over there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because like
yeah.
they have to walk a
It's
long
getting
way.
blue.
Yeah, now the rock is frozen, and you will see that every damage that is being done while the
that
rock
was
is
amazing.
frozen, it just sort of pops
That-
it out later.
Yeah, it's very icy suddenly.
Yeah.
What did you find most boring about this game then?
The most boring bit for me came in the end, when you really have to overcome quite literally this big hill, this big struggle, because this has to rise and rise and rise. And at the final cycles, this is not undoable, but you're very committed to your current playthrough, so you just want it to work. And then a little bit like with the Sims example that you were giving, you're like, okay, I've done so much, I just need this to just work out on, but actually you should be probably restarting and just getting a couple more skill points in. But that's making that decision that you're sort of holding off on, it's a very boring game, because it can go on for a long time and with not a lot of movement. There you go. Whee! Oh, there you go. Hey!
It's melting.
There you go. It did happen. Will it get even taller? No, it won't. So here, the rock is now upset.
And throwing things back.
And just taking it all back. But despite your relatively egalitarian society, all Norbs are kind of equal, all doing things for the greater Norb societal cause and to grow the Norb community. You are working against another living being, which is the rock. In that sense, the harder you push, the harder the rock will try to regain things. Eventually, you have to ramp up to extreme lengths until you discover the finale moment. The finale being that the rock is dead, or at least destroyed, giving out all its shards, which are plenty. But you have killed the rock. Is that what you really wanted? You are rich, but what was the point?
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time when we are discussing the question:
When was the last time a game made you laugh super hard, or some variation of that equivalent? Yeah.
all good things to you. Bye bye.
Stay bored.